Hey guys, welcome to another episode of East Coast Rams. I'm here, Ashton, with my awesome co-host Zach. Zach, we are literally starting to film during the third quarter of the second preseason game. These games are pretty late for us East Coast folk, and just to make sure we keep up a good release schedule, we wanted to record this. Uh, this is going to be a little bit different format, guys. We didn't really pre-write a script. We wanted to live react to the game, react to what has happened, and kind of talk about that. Um, Zach, let's start it off with the fact that people are very upset at Stetson Bennett in the fan base. I would say a lot of the fan base, in my opinion, doesn't understand this guy's a rookie. Uh, he is not going to be perfect. He was the best quarterback in the first preseason week, in my opinion, out of all the NFL. And you've had a mixed bag this game, and we can kind of focus on the pick six. What's your initial reactions to the game and Bennett?
Yeah, I mean, Stetson Bennett, he's in an interesting spot. I mean, he's not QB1. He
No.
wasn't picked to be QB1. He is going to be a backup, and honestly, he has done an admirable job as backup compared to our two previous backups. So all the hate I don't think is really isn't really granted until we see him in a live NFL game that's not preseason with a fully healthy starting O line. If he has to go in, he doesn't have the best O line that he can work with in this game. He doesn't have the best wide receivers he can work with in this game, and so I just think it's an unfair characteristic to put all this hate on him, especially at this point. He's done an admirable job. Yes, he's made mistakes, but this is the NFL. It's learning. It's a different animal than it is in the college game. So, yeah, we just need to focus on that and see how it was. As far as the game goes, I mean, I'm not going to say that it's not been the most thrilling game in the world. I mean, obviously we had one really good play, which we'll talk about that
Mhm.
here in a bit. But in reality, like it's been bad on both sides. The offense hasn't really been clicking. That's had its highlights, but just hasn't been all there. And then the defense as well. The defense has given up a lot of yards, and they've kind of gone back to this bend not break mentality, which is great. But we really need to see a little bit more protection from
Urgency.
their side. Yeah, urgency.
Urgency. Yeah, outside of one drive, the pressure hasn't been there on the defense, really kind of lackluster. Let's kind of pivot back to just Bennett and kind of like just comment. Let me comment him. It kind of pisses me off when people say something that clearly has nothing to do with accuracy is a problem with him having inaccurate passes, right? Like that pick six, and let's talk about this pick six. Uh, Zach, you can give my opinion. I take it. I think Bennett didn't know the correct route combo and didn't know what route Johnson was on. In my opinion, I don't think that was on Johnson. It could be, and this is where it's a little bit more complicated because if Johnson is there, I think the worst is incompletion because he's going to be in front of the DB. DB is going to be behind them 90% of the
Sure,
time, unless DB just makes a crazy play.
sure.
And this is what irritates me. People are like, oh, he just overthrew his wide receiver. No, clearly he threw thinking the wide receiver is going to be over there. Like
Yeah, I
Bennett
mean,
has
it
thrown
was
he has thrown enough in the last two games to show me I think he's highly accurate. Like he just threw a dime 25 yards
yeah.
uh, on a probably out route. Hard to tell while I'm talking.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a bad call. It was a bad play. Whether Stenson called the wrong play or what, it was bad. I mean, there's it's a learning curve. It's a preseason game. It's acceptable in a preseason game, I guess. But at the same time, those are things that he has to clean up. And if this was a missed call by him, or he didn't understand the route that he called, then that's a problem. I mean, it could also be that the wide receiver ran the wrong route. I mean, these are also, yes, Johnson and Robinson, those are more veteran players, but again, they may still be learning the playbook, and they may have misread the route.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of things that could have gone into this. It was a bad throw. It went to three defenders. I mean, there's three defenders right there in that
Yeah,
space.
someone said that, but they're in zones. They weren't cheating up, right? Like the safety came down, and I really do think that would have been a one-on-one. Oh my gosh, what a great run by Allen. Uh, Sorry, our tight end, the Clemson tight end rookie, just had a really good 8-yard run. But either way, uh, like I was saying, like I really do think that would have been 1-on-1. This is not excusing an error on Bennett's part if that's what happened. I'm sure we'll learn what happened in the post game. Uh, he, he has to learn the playbook and he has to fix that and he has to have good communication. That was a big problem last year whenever basically after Stafford came out, our backups could not have good communication with our wide receivers. It really caused our offense to struggle a lot. Um,
But I
but
definitely
like,
think having even if Stafford had to go out, you still have Cooper Cup who can give him advice on the field. You have Jefferson who can help him out. You'll have Akers who help him out. So I think that really that it's hard to judge him on a preseason. Yes, this is where he needs to shine, and I think he's doing an admirable job. We need to see some better completions. He's in better. We need to see him score another touchdown. Is what we need to see. We need a little bit more proof in the pudding that he can drive us all the way down and finish it with the pass and not just with a run game.
I think it's kind of hard too when your run game is inconsistent. I think Ronnie Rivers had a really good first
Yeah,
half.
yeah. Let's
Anytime,
we should talk about that too, because
yeah.
the Rams basically ran four running plays in a row, three of them with Ronnie Rivers back to back to back. I mean, I don't know. This is. I know Sean McVay's not actually calling the plays. I think maybe it's Matt LaFleur maybe calling the plays this game. I know Shula is
Oh,
running the defensive plays. Do we get a touchdown?
Bennett. Yep, Bennett ran it in for a touchdown.
Okay,
Uh,
so I mean, I think that goes to your point. I think that in this instance, he made the play, he ran it in, touchdown. Like not a lot of rookie quarterbacks, who are especially not run focused quarterbacks, would be able to make those kinds of plays, and he was
no.
able to adjust and be able to do it. So great on him.
Yeah, he caused the linebacker to take the wrong angle and he got a touchdown. That's a good play. Again, I understand. Like you're gonna have a lot of good, you're gonna have a lot of bad, and he has had bad plays. In my opinion, the drive after the pick six, he had a worse throw accuracy wise
Oh
and
yeah,
decision wise. Third down and red zone. Like you can't make those types of choices. Just like
yeah,
last week, he ended up rolling out and taking a sack, trying to outrun an edge defender. This game, he learned from that. He threw a check down and it got like 6, 7 yards. So,
hmm
like, progression. And the question is, like, is he making progress from last week? And I do think he is. He's still making mistakes. He's a rookie. He's going to make mistakes this whole year and people have to have a little bit of grace. And I think people are treating him more harshly than our last two backup quarterbacks. And for the people saying that, oh, like Wolford and Perkins had a better preseason stuff, yeah, they were running around for their lives. They could not throw to save their lives. And Bennett can actually
sure.
throw, and he doesn't have that crutch. And yeah, when you're going against second and third string linebackers, it's a little bit easier. That's why that didn't translate to the actual regular season when Perkins got in.
Yeah, so I want to talk a little bit about the kind of stats. So going into the first half, Bennett had 7 for 14, 75 yards. Just within that last series, he's now 15 for 24, 142 yards. And then he got that touchdown.
Yeah, and
Like,
I
I mean,
also he I also think he has a problem in like the first quarter, Zach, starting and getting hot. Like I can tell with him he needs some easy completions to kind of get in the headspace.
sure, sure, but I mean, he also had two really good catches back to Tyler Johnson. Like, he had good plays in the first half. Again, I really feel like if he had a solid, like he had the first team O line, he would have more time to throw the ball. He has been
Mhm.
pressured to be able to throw that ball quicker, and I think if he just had a half a second more, got his wide receivers in the spots he wants them in, he would be able to make these plays. He got a little fancy with kind of this, the throw to what is it? Maybe it was Sims, I think, that he kind of threw that kind of sidearm pass, and that was kind of a bad throw. And then immediately after that, he almost had that second interception. But I really think that he's made good plays. He just seems to be better, at least in this last series. He drove them down and got them that touchdown, which is exactly what I said that he needs to do
Mhm.
to prove to these other people that he is a QB. He could be a
Capable.
QB
Yeah.
one. He's a capable quarterback, and he's
Yeah.
definitely a better backup than I think we've seen in the last, like I said, at least the last two that we've had.
Yeah, I think he just throws a better ball than Perkins or Wolford. Like it I in a perfect world, yes, I want a QB with mobility, and I think the Rams are like so like really missing that from their scheme. Like that's where the NFL is going. I want that. But you have to be able to throw the ball in the NFL with these high two shells. Like you have to be able to pick apart defenses between 10 and 20 yards ahead of the sticks. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I Perkins and Wolford just couldn't do that effectively. They were decent third string QBs in a pinch, but having them like constantly start, it wasn't working. And I think Bennett, he just throws better balls, in my opinion. I yeah.
Yeah, no, I like I said, I do agree with you. Like I said, I think he's better than the two that we've had before, and I think that he's going to have a lot of potential. So, but let's get into the defense a bit because I think
Yeah.
this is maybe, I don't know, I was really worried about them, but then you have to kind of take things into a little bit of account. Let's say so for the first series where basically Jimmy G just like rolled over them, we have to remember that they were playing with their first team offense against our second team defense, and so that's a big differential between play styles. So of course they were going to probably kind of mow them down a little bit, but was not quite expecting that bad. They just kept running the ball, and again, you were texting me. You were like, "Here's our run defense again. Can't stop the run." But they've made a couple good plays since then. They've been able to hold the run a little bit better than they did in that first series, which is good. Not by much, but I think it was a little bit better. Um, let's see. Right now they're rushing. Right now they only have 64 yards in rushing, so that's vastly improved to what they had last week, which was over 200 yards. Um, so definitely kudos to that. What is your take on the defense so far?
Um, I think the defensive line is playing a hair bit better. I think the linebackers in general are playing slightly better. I think the back end has been really, really good outside of 20 yards. I think below 20 yards, they've been struggling to cover like quick slants and quick out routes. Uh, so it's a mixed bag with the defense again. I think like you can say that with most of the players, like the defensive line can't get pressure, but we've had a few individual good plays. Hummel, a lot of good tackles, great pick six. still kind of struggles in coverage. Now he caught the ball when it got thrown to him, and I'm happy for him. But outside of that, he was struggling in coverage a little bit, and was getting burnt on like intermediate routes. And I feel like this young defense is having issues covering those. And I know some of it is the fact that we're playing really off center zone, and I hate that. I hate it. It's terrible to watch. I know statistically it gets us what stops. We still give up points. I think we give up a lot more field goals, but you tend to get less touchdowns
Yeah.
statistically.
Yeah, I mean it's the bend don't break methodology. I mean that's
Yeah.
really what the Rams have been known for several years, and it's worked pretty well. It's just when they break and they do, eventually snap, and we get hit on a bunch of touchdowns. But I noted a couple things just when I was going through and I was taking notes as the game was going on. Trey Tomlinson has had a really good
Oh,
night so
great.
far. He's been breaking up big plays.
I think he's
I
out now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. But I mean, he got that flag on the front, which is a new rule that came in that he can't, tackle below the waist now. Whatever. NFL just making it harder for defenders. Robert Rochelle also had another great breakup. Um, Bobby Brown, he
Yeah.
made a really good run stop, so he's had some spark in there. Maybe putting him with Aaron Donald and stuff like that, he'll be able to get more pressure and be able to cause a little bit more damage. Sorry. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's just, and then obviously Jake Hummel with the interception. Um, but yeah, I think the defense has been playing maybe definitely better than they were playing last week. And again, it's just this repetition of these new guys just learning the game and um, learning how to play together as a new team. So that's just my kind of break on the defense. What about you?
Yeah, I think Trey Tomlinson is going to be something really really special. It just he is locking down wide receivers. Just really good pace. Uh, like he has everything but height, and I also think his wingspan is not as big, so he's not as big of a corner as Ramsey. And there's some limitations when covering the bigger, like number one wide receivers. I understand that, but the dude has heart and he's keeping pace, and his technique, from everything I've seen, has been flawless. He's not perfect. He's made mistakes, a few bad penalties. Like last week, he had a penalty. It's gonna happen, and I would say John Johnson, when he was in there, he looked great. Just making his typical plays. I think he's very comfortable in this kind of Rams scheme. I know it's changed a little bit since Staley, so I'm interested to see how he fits in with the first starters. But it's nice to see him get a few snaps. But really, defensively, you know, I see growth, but not enough growth. We need a little bit more from these rookies who are going to get more prominent roles.
For sure. And it would be also good to note that Keir Thomas, he also made a good play and got that sack. So there are some movements going on in the defense, and we'll see who kind of all shakes out into being the kind of the starting line. Um, let's talk about Ethan Davis. He's made 5 punts tonight, which you never really want to see a punter out there more than a 0 times. But when you do have to go out there, it's definitely good to have a boot on you, and he definitely has a boot. Out of 5 kicks, he's had 283 yards.
Whew.
His longest was 65. Um, Mostly averaging in the 50s. So it's a
Yeah,
good punter you want to have. Just hopefully the special teams can kind of clean up their act so that when he's able to boot it that far, they can take advantage of it being, that far
yeah.
instead of, running it back 30 plus yards, which a couple of times. There's at least once, maybe even twice, where they could have taken it back to the house.
Yeah, so this is, I think, mostly going to be the starting special teams. And in two preseason games, and the second one isn't fully done, we've had a return touchdown, a basically, if he was 1 inch to the left, a second return touchdown, and a muff punt. And now he still got the muff punt back, but that's not good. That's like, that's a lot of bad. And it's not going to work out for us if our special teams is it, it kills the season. Like 2019 is a season where we should have made the playoffs, but it was small things in the special teams that built up over time, like punt return touchdowns, kickoff return touchdowns, missing field goals, and that costed us a playoff run that year. And this year, like, if we want to have any chance, we can't have a special team struggling. Now, who knows if this will be a reflection of the regular season, but it's not looking great. We don't want to read too much into it, but we also want to still like see growth, and I don't see any growth in the special teams unit. I think
Mhm.
the punter looks fine. Kicker hasn't missed today, so that's solid, but he hasn't had to make a really long kick. So I'm still a little bit concerned about him.
Yeah, he's only made one field goal. It was for 25 yards, which I'm also mad about because I really think that they should have gone forward on fourth and not just, it was like 4th and 2, 4th and 3, within less than 15 yards. It's preseason. The score doesn't really matter. Get your quarterback comfortable with making uncomfortable decisions and let's move on. I think again, this would have been another growth that they could have added on top of this with with Stetson Bennett. But I get it. They're also the play caller is also trying to um, trying to learn the game or learn the calls too, and maybe that's what you normally you're supposed to do. But again, I think you should take risks when you're in preseason to try to elevate your game to the next level.
Hmm.
So that's where I'm at with that. What else did we miss?
So
Did we miss anything?
let's talk about receivers. How do we think the receivers are doing? Right now, uh, the highest for receiving is Davis Allen for 36 yards, 5 receptions.
Mhm.
This is his debut. He was injured in the first preseason game. What do you think of him? I think he's looking pretty good. I like his route kind of ability. I haven't been able to see him block, so I can't really comment on that. Because
It's
they
hard when you're
really,
watching when you're
yeah,
watching the broadcast view. It's really hard to see the whole field, so you're really kind of stuck with whatever the camera wants to show you. But yeah, I agree. I think he's had some strong promise. He's been able to reach for the ball because he was the one who caught that one up in the air when Bennett kind of threw it a little high. Um, and so I think he's done a great job. Now we didn't get to see Puka, or at least he didn't catch any balls. I don't know if he was even out on the field.
he wasn't
Um,
out on the field. They cut to him like basically he was dressed up, but he never played. At least I didn't see him. He might have had
yeah,
snaps on the first few drives, but
sure.
I don't think he played, to be honest.
So, I mean, other than that, Skoranek, he was in for, he's either in or has been in and out. He had
That's
a
not
few
a
good
good sign.
catches. Yeah, I mean, he had a few good catches. Their roster is just, it feels now so wide receiver heavy that it's gonna be close. He's gonna make the squad, but I don't think he's going to be he's not going to be the top 3 or 4 anymore. I think he's going to drop to 5, 6, 7. I don't think they're going to get rid of him because he's such a utility player. But I don't see him regularly going to be starting.
So you think Skoranek will make it over Robinson?
Well, I keep thinking Robinson's going to be over Johnson, but Johnson's also been playing well. But I think he plays a little bit more with Bennett than Robinson. But maybe I'm wrong on that.
I mean, I
I
definitely
don't know
could
if
see that.
Johnson and Robinson are going to make it. I think one of them
No,
will make it.
I think definitely Demarcus Robinson is gonna have the edge there. I think Johnson's played great. If we can get him on the practice squad, I think he would be a fantastic practice squad kind of player.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think so too. Being able to scout out and do that kind of work, I think would be great. So,
I
uh,
personally would prefer him over Skoranek, at least right now, but I don't think this coaching regime is gonna do that personally.
yeah, I like I said, I think Skronik's still going to make the team. I think he's going to be kind of a kind of a weird utility player who's going to be able to, if they want to do an I formation and they want to have a fullback, they'll be able to utilize him in those kind of weird roles. Uh, but I
Yeah.
don't know. I do think he'll make the team, but I don't know if he'll have a high percentage unless somebody goes down. Um, but other than that, I mean, like I said, the offense have been kind of lackluster. I mean, we've seen a few good catches, but that's been about it. Um, it's been, yeah, it's just
Well,
not been as interesting.
it's very just disjointed. Outside of Ronnie Rivers, the run game has kind of not been there. I think Zach Evans has had two good runs, but his average is pretty low. Yeah, he's had 4 carries for 12 yards. That's not great. Now, I understand people are saying the offensive line, it's not starting. You're missing like two starters. It's still like Ronnie Rivers is producing with the same offensive line.
Yeah, yeah, I do see something in Ronnie Rivers, and so I hope he's able to punch his way through, and we get to see some more playing time with him in the regular season. Um, But it was funny because I think we put a poll. I put a poll out there on our East Coast Rams X page, if you want to call it X or Twitter, whatever you want to do.
Twitter.
So promote that. Go to at East Coast Rams, and most people think that Cam Akers is at least over 100 people that did the poll think that he's going to have an over 1,000 yard season, which I think is kind of crazy. But
Hmm.
this is his prove it year. I mean, this is not his prove it year for the Rams. Okay, I don't know if he will continue to be with the Rams.
The Rams are not gonna I would be surprised if they re-sign him because he's gonna ask if he has a decent season. Let's say 900 yards. He's gonna ask for probably 8 mil to 11 mil around
Yeah, but
there, and this team's not gonna pay that.
how his contract works? The Rams could sign him for another year, um,
You mean
just
tag him?
because of no, because he lost that 1 year.
Oh
He
yeah,
act
I
he
don't.
becomes a restricted free agent, and so if no one I'm just saying, like there is an avenue where the Rams could keep him if no one else wants to pay what he wants to pay. So again, I see that as a possibility, but he has to have an extraordinary year for the Rams to even consider doing that part of it. Um, so it is what it is, um, but I mean, it does seem like some of the fan base really thinks that he could potentially do it. And again,
Yeah.
he's put on the bulk. We'll see if that helps. He has to get his mental game into play. He has to be able to pass protect. He has to be able to catch the ball. But he has to be able to break through the defensive line. And again, this isn't just for him as a Ram. This is for him being a lead back in the NFL. And if he wants to be a lead back in the NFL, he's going to have to get close, if not surpass that 1,000 yard mark to be considered one of those and to continue his career in a trajectory that he wants.
Yeah, I just see it's hard for me to see a situation where he stays with the Rams. Um, I just don't think this team is very much into.
But that doesn't have anything to do. Here I'm gonna go with this. But that has nothing to do with him trying to get a 1,000-yard season.
Well, no,
That's the
no,
that's the
that's
question that
completely
I think.
separate. So, do I think he's going to have 1,000 yards? With the caveat he stays healthy, yes, I think he will. I think he'll be exactly around 1,000 yards if healthy. I just don't see much of a way why this regime would resign. They just don't. They don't value running backs at all.
No,
Uh,
and that's totally valid. And I don't think they're going to re-sign him either. I mean, I don't even think he'll get a 1,000-yard season. I posted that question to see what the fan base wanted, and they believe him. And I think he has that potential. I just don't. I don't know. I still have my doubts, but I hope that he does, and I think he has the capability because he needs this. He wants it. He needs it. Um,
yeah.
the only time. Let's see. I'm trying to go through here. I guess last year he got 786 yards was what he got last year, and then in 2020 he got 625. So last year he was just shy of less than 230 before he can make it. So he does have the potential to do it.
Yeah, he definitely has a lot of potential. I mean, he has injury risk. I just don't see much of a reason to pay him above 8 mil. He has a lot of potential. Like, I think he needs to work on his receiving ability a little bit. But he's good at blocking, great at running, very dynamic. Uh, like I said, I think around 8 mil would be fine for Cam Makers. I just think he's going to go for more than that. So
Yeah. Well, the Rams just let another touchdown go through its defense, so now it's up to 34-17. So this game is pretty much in the bag, and so I think we should probably wrap up this week. Next week, the Rams will be will finish off their third preseason game in Denver,
Broncos. Yeah.
or yeah, with the Broncos. And again, it's a Saturday night, 9 o'clock game. Again, not sure why we have to keep doing this to ourselves, but we will. It's 6 o'clock in LA, so you guys are just now having dinner and stuff. So, but we will cover that one again and give you kind of our final thoughts and maybe kind of try to figure out who's going to be down to our 53-man roster. That
Yeah.
would be interesting. But yeah, Ashton, do you have any final comments you want to mention about either this game or this upcoming week?
Yeah, rough performance by a lot of our third string and second string players. It got to be better. A lot of penalties, a lot of common themes from the first game, and not a lot of changes. I think people are being overly harsh on Bennett, but I think Bennett needs to get better if he wants to be a productive quarterback in this league. Uh, and time will tell, right? Like a lot of things we don't know, and I think this team has a lot of question marks, especially on defense, but a lot of question marks. And if this team wants to be a good season and make a playoff run, those are going to have to be for better, not for worse. And I'm excited to see week one, Zach, and uh, next week, I think it's going to be more data points and more ability to see some of these younger players grow, hopefully.
Yeah, I want to see some of this stuff get cleaned up. We don't need to be having face masks pulled, even though I think was
Oh,
kind of a bad
do
face
you want
call. But
to do you want to comment on that for 1 second? The fact that they call a offensive face mask on a stiff arm, miss a face mask from the DB originally trying to grab at him, and then the next play miss another face mask on Rivers. Like that was a stupid series of events. I
it
was just like,
was,
what?
yeah. I mean, you could even hear Whitworth saying the same thing.
So,
I these. It seems like these are
It's a
XFL.
rookie ref.
Yeah, rookie ref, XFL refs. So, you know, getting adjusted to the NFL spotlight. So, sure, fans will be posting that about that all week too. Um, but yeah, I think this is going to wrap it up with this week's episode of the East Coast Rams podcast. Thank you again for everyone who takes time to listen to this podcast each and every week. We appreciate you. You can connect with us on social media. We're pretty much on every platform. You can find us on Twitter at East Coast Rams or X, again, whatever you want to call it. You can also find us on Instagram, Threads, wherever your fingers and your mobile phone take you, we should be there. You can always send us your questions and feedback to feedback at eastcoastrams.com. Or DM us. We're also, again, on YouTube. If you're listening to this, go check out our YouTube page. Subscribe, youtube.com/ at East Coast Rams. Ashton, you got anything going on this week?
No, I mean, next week gonna be going down to Orlando. Having me and my wife are having our 5-year anniversary, so celebrating that.
Congratulations.
Yeah, yeah, that should be a lot of fun. Gonna go Universal Studios for the first time.
Very cool.
Hopefully that all goes well. And in a few weeks, I'll be coming up there to visit y'all. And so a lot of traveling soon, but it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yes, a lot of traveling. I got to meet Peyton Manning this week, which, well, I didn't get to meet him. He was
Oh,
in a conference. I wasn't special enough to get to go to the green room where he got to meet some guests, but I did get to hear him talk, and he's such a good public speaker. He's hilarious, and it was great just to hear some of his wisdom. So, yeah, I could not say anything better than being able to get to hear from the legendary quarterback Peyton Manning. It was awesome, very cool. But like I said, we're going to wrap it up. Yeah, we will see you all next week. Let's go, Ramley. Rams house.